Hidden cause number 18, why you still have low thyroid symptoms, even though you may be taking thyroid medication, even though your lab tests are normal, is elevated testosterone causing overconversion of T4 into T3, leading to resistance. Okay, that's a mouthful. There's a couple different concepts we have to understand. So let's first talk about overconversion. A lot of times we talk about underconversion, underconversion of deiodinase, low activity of TPO. Well, now we're talking about something being too high. And so if you remember the thyroid story, 97% of what your thyroid gland makes is T4. T4 is inactive. It doesn't do anything. It's got to be converted into T3. T3 is the active form of your thyroid hormones. And that conversion primarily happens in the liver, primarily through an activity called an enzyme called 5-deiodinase. Now what we're talking about here is overconversion, something speeding up the conversion of T4 to T3, leading to something called resistance. Resistance is when you have like a receptor, and let's just think of it like a plant. Like if you're growing a plant likes to have a little bit of water, but it doesn't like to have a bunch of water because you'll drown it, you'll kill it. Well, receptors in your body for T3 are like that. They like to have enough T3 in order to dock and make them work. But if you bombard them with T3, they shut down and become resistant, which means you can have all the T3 in the world floating around, trying to get onto this receptor, but it won't. Okay? Or the receptor can be open, it can dock, but it just doesn't do anything. So what that looks like is someone that's got totally normal thyroid numbers, but all these low thyroid symptoms. And what are those symptoms? Well, they're things like hair loss, weight gain, constipation, brain fog, fatigue, needing to sleep an inordinate amount of hours in order to feel normal, infertility, miscarriage. Those are low thyroid symptoms that are caused by resistance. It's called thyroid hormone resistance. So here I'm going to back up and do it again. T4's got to get converted to T3. When you overconvert, you get lots of T3. And T3 can bombard the receptor and shut it down, making you have more low thyroid symptoms. Okay? Not hyperthyroid symptoms, which could happen, but in this scenario called resistance, the receptor shuts down and you get low thyroid symptoms. Okay? Now, I said testosterone causing overconversion leading to resistance. So where does this testosterone come from? Well, in a woman, the number one cause for elevated testosterone is blood sugar instability. Primarily women that have insulin resistance. These are women that have chronically high blood sugar. The type of symptoms that would tell you if you have insulin resistance, the classic one is when you eat, you get sleepy. Now, not like 2 hours later. Within 30 minutes, you start to get tired and sleepy. You crave sweets after you eat. You might have a hard time going to sleep at night. You wake up in the morning feeling completely beat up as if you didn't sleep at all. Those are all pretty good signs of insulin resistance. And what happens is when you get surges of insulin, for example, when you eat and then you get sleepy, when you get this surge of insulin, it upregulates an enzyme that makes you, women, make more testosterone. And testosterone is what can cause this overconversion that bombards the receptor that leads to resistance and low thyroid symptoms. I know that's kind of a long story, but that's what happens. That's the number one cause for it. Now, insulin resistance in women is often labeled as polycystic ovarian syndrome. These are women that typically have insulin resistance and they have elevated testosterone. And what it really primarily is a blood sugar instability problem. It's blood sugar instability caused by what you eat, when you're eating, and it can be caused by inflammation. So already, we got a lot of pieces on the chessboard that a doctor's got to be looking at and thinking about all at one time. Okay? Now, another way that you can get elevated testosterone is simply if you are using it, or if perhaps your partner, your husband, your boyfriend is using testosterone, topical testosterone. It easily rubs off on you and will have an effect on you, causing this overconversion. So your doctor's got to be able to evaluate all those different possibilities. Now, what you do about it depends on what the actual mechanism is. Well, if insulin resistance is a thing, you got to change your diet. You've got to look for food sensitivities. You've got to look for inflammation. You got to do all that at once. And that's the primary thing it's the primary thing that I see is PCOS and insulin resistance. That's caused primarily by someone's diet and by inflammation. Now, in terms of thyroid function, to kind of wrap it together for you, the reason this is a hidden cause is there's kind of a couple different steps in the mechanism. Now, another key that this might be happening is if you took, well, I shouldn't say another key, another example of resistance is women who take Cytomel, T3, and then become more hypothyroid. Well, when you take Cytomel and become more hypothyroid, what's happening is resistance. You're bombarding the receptors. There's too much there, and they shut down. And so resistance is what hidden cause number 18 is. It's elevated testosterone causing overconversion, leading to resistance and more low thyroid symptoms. So your doctor's got to be able to look at all of that stuff.